Welcome back, everyone. Let us begin. To give you a brief introduction, the Aligarh Renaissance was formed in 2014 by a group of friends who shared a common goal to revive the spirit of the Aligarh movement guided by Sir Syed Ahmad Khan's vision. Officially registered in 2017 under the Societies Registration Act, our NGO is dedicated to empowering youth through skill development, career counseling, and personality enhancement. Recognized by government bodies like Niti Aayog and the Ministry of Education, we have grown to establish 7 international chapters in the USA, Netherlands, Canada, Italy, Qatar, UAE, and Saudi Arabia, alongside a strong presence across India. Our core mission is to bridge gaps and create actionable learning opportunities for students and young professionals. Today's interactive session, Building a Business from Scratch, is designed precisely around that mission to bridge the gap between entrepreneurial ambition and real world execution. Whether you are an aspiring entrepreneur with a fresh idea, a student curious about business dynamics, or a young professional eager to understand how successful enterprises are constructed, this session aims to deliver practical, real world insights. We have organized this masterclass to provide direct mentorship on what it truly takes to transform a vision into a thriving, scalable business, covering strategy, operational foundations, and resilience from an industry leader who has managed multi-million-dollar operations on a global scale. We hope you find today's session insightful, inspiring, and highly practical for your professional journey ahead. So, it is an honor to introduce our keynote speaker for today's interactive session on building a business scratch from scratch, Mr. Mohammad Aslam. Mr. Aslam is a seasoned techno commercial leader, CEO, and industry consultant with over 3 decades of a global experience in business management, large scale supply chains, and industrial operations across more than 80 countries. Holding a master's degree in biotechnology and biochemical engineering from Aligarh Muslim University, he has held top executive roles at some of the world's leading multinational corporations, including Senior Vice President at Olam, Director at Saffola Foods, and Chief Operating Officer at IFCO. Throughout his distinguished career, Mr. Aslam has built multi-million-dollar business from the ground up, managed P&Ls exceeding $600 million, led greenfield industrial projects, and scaled iconic consumer brands globally. We are privileged to have him share his deep insights, strategies, and real-world leadership experience today on what it is truly takes to construct and scale a successful enterprise from scratch. Please join us in welcoming Mr. Mohammad Aslam. Over to you, sir.
Assalamu alaikum. Hi, everyone. Hello, I hope you can all hear me.
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Okay, so Zoya, just let me know, this is my first interaction on this platform, and it will be good to know how you would like the session to start. I mean, this is either I can be speaking and everyone listening, and then we can have question and answers towards the end, or it can be interactive the way you all want. I mean, from the audience side and from the coordinator side. Yes,
Sir, whatever seems you comfortable, you can start. Like if you want to start, and then we'll conduct a question and answer session.
okay.
Then who have? Yes, sir.
Okay, so welcome all again. It is my pleasure to participate in such a session addressing a global audience, MU alumni. I just to give you a glimpse, thank you for introducing me, Zoya, and the team. Basically, I passed out from AMU in 1991, and I spent around 6 years at Ranbaxy in India, and then started my overseas employment in 1997, and then went on to work for different companies in Saudi, Dubai, Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, South Africa, and a few other countries. So I have been a resident of 11 countries, basis work permit, and also traveled to more than 50 countries. The topic for today is how do you go about setting up a business from scratch? So, for beginners and for people who have just completed their studies or who are into, let's say, any kind of internship or have already started their professional journey in terms of working somewhere in your specialized areas. So, what we understand and what we know from different, let's say, whether from different companies or countries, whether you want to set up a product or service. So the first thing that comes to our mind whenever we want to set up a business or be self-employed, whichever way you want to define it, the first thing is the ideation. So, which means what is the business idea? Is it a product or service? And does that product, what kind of value that product or service bring to the table to your target clients or consumers or customers? So the ideation phase, as we call it, is basically about any idea that solves a problem or fills a gap in terms of a DS, we call it demand supply gap, or something that has been needed that has not been identified, but you are able to identify basis your own experience or some kind of uh, interactions with different people. So the first thing, as we say, is the idea, the business idea, the product or service that you want to set up. Then you need to conceptualize it. Okay, if suppose I want to market or sell a product, uh, how do I, let's say, how do I go about it in terms of whether do I go for manufacturing or just do trading or just do third party manufacturing, or it is a service that I need to participate in as a third party or as a main supplier or a value creator, contractor, subcontractor. So you have to first of all identify the product or service, then go to conceptualize how you are going to, let's say, what kind of product or service you have identified, and then how you want to go about it. Are you in a metro city or in a small town, or you want your, what is your area of operation? Then you go about planning. So when you do conceptualization of the product, so the main thing is you look at the size of the market. So as I said in the beginning, the idea of the product or service has to come from the need. What is the need? So need can be a problem or can be an excellence to the current status. Suppose today a certain service is happening and there is room to improve. People need it, want it, they may not be saying it, but you come to know that you identify that there is a value addition that is possible there. So then you identify that product or service, and then you go about conceptualizing it basis the market data that you have. So your market research, ideally, if you are going for a product or service, today a lot of market data is available, not just blindly going to the internet, but going to the right source. So today, going to the let's say network and trying to find out things sometimes may or may not be useful, because on the internet there can be multiple types of information that may or may not be compatible or suitable to your type of product or service. So which means that if you are planning, if you have come out with a product or service that is specific in nature, so you should try and find out where is the source from where I can get the most authentic market data. So suppose if it's a export oriented product, so there is a custom data available in each of the countries where you want to export it out. And if it is a local, let's say, product or service, then you will have certain departments of the government from where you can get that data uh, about the number of players, about the size of the market, how many clients or consumers or customers are there. You can have a bit of assumption on that. It can be 5-10% plus minus. So keeping that cushion in mind, you can work out a let's say a market data that will give an idea what is the scalability of that product as well. So suppose you come out with the product and then you say, okay, I'll give you a very small example where I've been operating in the last 25, 30 years. So there is a edible oils and fats sector in India. Sorry, I'm just giving a specific example, but you can relate to each of the different products or service that you would want to. So suppose in India, 57% of the oils and fats that we consume in India is imported, which means a lot of it comes from as palm oil from Malaysia, Indonesia. A lot of it comes from South America as soybean. Some of it comes from as sunflower from the Black Sea or from other countries. So we have this data, and suppose I know that being part of the agricultural advisory committee in India in the ministry, that uh, that the palm oil suppose has a major share in this area, and some of the, let's say, the smaller volumes are coming from the soybean and stuff. So this is one example, not very specific, but I'm just trying to give an example that this is very authentic data, and this is one of the top 3 foreign currency spends from the Indian government. So top one is of course the fuel and the defense equipment, and the number 3 is your vegetable oils. So you can imagine how important it is. So whatever you want to do in this space, there's a lot of space. So then you come to other areas where there is a lot of space in terms of products and services. So over the last few decades, India has really transformed into a major services hub. One of the other example that I can give you, so most of my global companies back offices have been in India, Chennai, Hyderabad, or Bangalore. Why? Because uh, the kind of data entry requirement for my ERP or SAP or whatever we were operating. So the teams were sitting here and they would work 24/7, different shifts, because we were in different time zones, operating into 80 plus countries. So this is one area, and we know that IT sector has been a big, I would say, a big boom in the last few decades. So once you go for market research, you should look at the right source of information. That is the whole idea. I'll give you some examples. In some countries, there is no government data available in most of the sub-Saharan African countries. So we use agencies. So in some countries, for some countries or some products or service, there may not be some reliable data. So you go for some research agency, some kind of company, and there are lots in the space. I mean, you go to specific product or service, you will find a lot of market research agencies that will provide you with authentic data. So getting the right data is very important for you to put up a plan. So which means what kind of scale are you looking at, and what kind of capacities, if it's a production or manufacturing, what kind of capacity, and then what is the scalability of your product and service when you start that business. So ideally we always say so that uh, the product or service that you choose, it should be scalable, because you should not be at some point in the next 3 4 5 years feel that, oh, I'm done with this product or service, I have to switch to another industry or sector. So scalability is a very important factor in deciding your, let's say, product or service that you want to operate in. So then comes, the planning side. Planning means, again, the capacities and the markets that you want to operate, and what market size are you looking at. Suppose there is, as I mentioned, for oil there is 57 percent import. Now there is a lot of avenue for putting up plantations in northeast, where there is good rainfall. There are some regions in Andhra, Telangana. There are certain regions, some isolated areas in southern side in Tamil Nadu, Kerala, and some of the northern sides into Haryana, Punjab. So I'm just saying, giving you examples that suppose there is a X market size available, you have to decide how much market size are you targeting. That depends on your own capacity, your own vision. So it depends. Sometimes you may not have the capacity, but you have the vision, and then of course you can actually arrange those resources. We'll come to the next steps, then we discuss that. And then you decide, once you plan what kind of capacity, what kind of market share that you want, what kind of market you want to operate in, then you need to decide the structure of the company, which means, do you want to be a single ownership company, or it's a partnership, or you want a sort of federation, you want a sort of a group with different funding, let's say, avenues that you want to evaluate. So company structure after planning, and then uh, what you need to understand is, in that product or service, what are the regulations, what are the let's say requirements uh, for that sector in the country that you want to operate. So suppose, very simple, if you are in a food, you have to follow the food safety and quality norms, which is FSSAI, we call it in India. And if you are exporting the product to any international country, so most of the countries, they follow Codex Alimentarius, that is the European Food Safety Standard, or sometimes FDA. So it depends. If you want to export to the Middle East, then there are Gulf standards and many others. So you want to understand what are the regulations governing that product or service, which means you want to be compliant from the day one that you start operating. And then for that, what kind of permits you need. Suppose you want to set up a manufacturing facility, so the land, if you have land title, has to be industrial. Then uh, after that, related to the product, what all things that you need to gather and set up, whether it's the pollution or safety or whatever. So then you go for, let's say, once you have this, then you will have to open a bank account, whether it's but on the company name, not on a individual name. And then you go for funding. So then funding is the key to your vision. So whatever vision you have thought, uh, I have one of my nephew who started his drone business, and just right out of the college, and he was already in the third or fourth year, and he started working on the project, and he's been able to set up a company, a startup, taking different, let's say, different funding opportunities that Indian government is has opened, and also stage wise. So there are like for startup, and then once you have grown to a certain size, or you have some kind of a novel idea. So based on that, the guy is able to set up and is reaching a stage where the order book is now bigger than the expense. So which means break even happens this year, by end of this year. So it's a fantastic example that we have in our own very close network, and the guy is less than 30 years of age right now, and he has no corporate or, let's say, any employment experience. So he has brought together army brigadiers, different organizational experience guys to actually to support, and he's already supplying drones to the army, and some of them were also used in Operation Sindhu. Anyway, that is a separate topic, but just to give you an example. So your vision is the most important thing. All the steps will follow, but your vision, you are clear that, look, this is the product or service I want to do, and I will scale it to that level that exceeds my capability. It can happen. So I have seen it with many companies, many individuals, where your vision exceeds your capability and capacity, what others can assess. Okay, so funding round, again, this is depending upon your, let's say, the novel idea that you have, and of course there are a lot of companies that do fund uh, you know ideas that bring value to the sector, or some of the, I would say, ideas that solve a certain problem, or they see that this is the future. So we hear a lot of things on the television, but the important thing is your vision has to be very clear, basis your assessment and research and conceptualization and ideation. So you have to be very, very clear. That is very important. So at no stage you can think, you should think, oh, did I choose the right product or service? That should not be the case. So you take a path, and take a thought through path. Do not try to, let's say, shortcut that. So we always say in setting up a company, you spend more time in ideation than setting it up. So which, or it also, let's say, holds good for any new project. Suppose you want to set up a project, $100 million project, and it will take, let's say, 1 year. Okay, so the ideation, conceptualization, and planning will start much earlier. It cannot be for a few days. It takes few months, and I've seen it with different companies. The diligence is very, very detailed, and there is no, let's say, turning back from whatever you have decided. So be very clear in your vision of product or service that you want to do, and uh, the most important in funding is, whether it's the government funding, or let's say other entities, or your own groups. The most important part is basically, what is the value you bring, okay, and what is the novelty of the idea. The novelty of the idea, the value that you bring, is it scalable? Is it, let's say, applicable to more than the area from where you just start? So suppose if you are starting from a Delhi or a Dubai or a Riyadh or whichever place you're saying, it should not be limited to that area. It should be scalable across, I would say, the maximum area in this country that you operate, and should have the capability to cross over to most countries that actually uh, have a certain normal governance model. That will also, I'll come to that. So then, after your funding round, uh, then you have to decide, of course, what kind of infrastructure you need for that. When you have already planned it, then you are setting up that infrastructure. So once your company is registered, you have the bank account, you have the funding in place. Funding in place means if your project or business setup costs 100, I'm just saying very randomly 100, whatever. So, and already have the, you should have the commitment for that 100. You shouldn't start if that business requires 100, let's say, units to start. Then you should have that commitment for 100. You shouldn't start it if you have 10 or 20 or 30 that you think that it will come and I'm just setting up. So it is possible that you start small and then scale up. There is absolutely no issue. And then that is normally what most companies do. Though large companies start big and then they become bigger. But as an individual entrepreneur, you can decide very small, have the funding for that, and then set it up, and then go for expansions and diversification in that area with more funding. And once the business concept is vetted and verified, and I would say uh, uh, there is a proof of concept in the market, once you have started the business, then a lot of funding can pour in after that. So normally, that's the reason why most entrepreneurs or startups, they start small, whatever is the minimum threshold size of the business, and then they will arrange additional funding to expand or to diversify that business. So your vision holds the key. I will continuously say that it's your vision that is important, because at each step you will face a lot of roadblocks. Every day you will get a feeling, oh, did I start? Did I take the right path? Is it the right product or service? Did I choose the right, let's say, line of business? So the answer should always be yes from your inner side, and then you keep working on it, and nobody will, I would say, uh, verify your proof of concept. It is you who has to do it, because it is your vision, your baby. You have to get all this organized and then get the thing started at a very small, minuscule scale, whatever is the threshold size, and then keep on scaling up, expanding, diversifying. Hmm? So I think those are the key things. And then you go after funding, you build the infrastructure that is needed, whether it's a service. So for service, what all do you need? Do you need gadgets? Do you need vehicles? Do you need an office structure, office automation? So, or some kind of, let's say, extraordinary, I would say, interventions in terms of developing a new software or a new system. So that is something, the infrastructure setup. And then you look at branding your business, whether you are doing a product or service. Without a brand, even if you are profitable, we have seen, I'll tell you, I have seen billions of dollars businesses without a brand collapsing in one day. Because if there is no brand loyalty, the customer or consumer will not actually come back to you until there is a very very strong need somewhere. People will come to you, and whoever knows you and whoever is connected. But people who do not know you, people who do not know your product or service through a brand, they will find it difficult. You will find it difficult introducing it to them. We have seen quite a few. I mean, within one company, I'm saying some large companies that I work for, the head office is in, suppose, Singapore, and then we have offices around 70, 80 countries, and each of the country is giving few billions every year in terms of the revenue, and of course the profits, whatever each product or service gives. But in some countries, what we have found is that some businesses were set up based on the need, and they collapsed because there was no brand memory with the people. And then when others came with a brand, so this, I mean, you would put a lot of effort in setting up a proof of concept in that country, and that proof of concept is stolen by somebody else and with their own brand name. And then you are looking at them, and all of your business is going to them. So this also happens mostly in trading businesses or in some services that people are not able to brand properly. So branding is the key to any business that you want to do. It is as equivalent as your vision. So if your vision is to reach a certain point or certain level of, let's say, whether you put a target of, let's say, I want to set up a business. So I give you an example. I have celebrated few successes, quite a few successes. So one target that we had set up in one country was 1 billion tons. So the day it was achieved, it was celebration all across the globe in all the companies that we operate. And there were, let's say, of course, it drove a lot of profit margins to the company, and the company decided to, of course, pass some of its profits to the employees, and each level got something or the other. And I remember getting a watch with the logo, and I kept it for a long time. So I'm saying your vision is very important, the most important thing in setting up the business. And it is your baby. Nobody else is going to love that vision and baby as much as you will have to. And you have to be very resilient, because there will be roadblocks. I tell you, in 70-80% of the countries that I have done businesses and set up some businesses from zero, from something that there was nothing, and then we set up in a matter of 1 year, somewhere in 2 years, somewhere in even 3 years, depending upon the situation, depending upon the governance system in that country. So a lot of countries where the governance is a problem, so instead of going to people who are, let's say, unofficially guiding you, okay, we do a favor and then we get a favor from a government official, but always go to some registered agencies. Never go to some unregistered people that can actually drain out whatever small capital you start with. So I would say your vision is the most important thing. Your idea of the product or service is the key to the success. And then the funding part is based on the idea that you have and the strength of your vision. So funding is not the most difficult thing. Most people think, oh, if I have the money, I can do business. No, the most important thing is your vision and how you are going to execute it. So a lot of large companies fail because of poor execution. So never think that funding is the most important thing. There are lots of avenues for funding. The most important thing is your vision and the value that you are bringing to the table in that category. If the companies feel that, yeah, you are bringing that value, you are going to create that value for your clients and customers and consumers, definitely funding is not a problem. Even lots of government agency, even in India, you have Startup India, Startup UP, and so many other things. So many other avenues you must study and identify. And of course, in the countries that you are living, you also have a lot of avenues. They, any country will look for one thing: what is your vision? What is your idea? If your idea is valuable, even despite being an immigrant, or let's say a person on a work permit there, the country government will definitely appreciate that, will actually adopt your idea and support you in that, because there is no shortage of money on this planet. There is always a shortage of ideas. Remember this. And to make that idea successful, a strong vision is very important. And that vision has to be very disciplined, that I will follow the right path, I will go by the right agencies, and I will make sure the execution is foolproof. So I would say the key takeaways for setting up a business, I might be repeating a few things again and again, and because these are the most important aspects in setting up. So just to revise, let's say your idea or vision, correct data and information that gives you, let's say, a direction to plan and conceptualize your product or service. Okay, correct market research data, or whatever is the input data required to understand the gap in the supplies, or let's say a problem that exists in the market and you are trying to solve it. Okay, and then of course the structure of the company depends on how you want to operate, whether you are able to get some small funds to start it, or you want somebody to be with you as partner, or you want it as a conglomerate. It depends on you. It depends on that product or service as well. And then you go by each of the steps. And the brand, you say, so vision, planning and conceptualization, branding, and then execution. Of course, the funding part is part of the planning. So these are the key steps. And discipline is the first thing. And discipline will come how hungry you are about your vision. If you have that fire in the belly that, yes, I have to make that idea successful, I have to set up this product. So this is very important, because a lot of people, we have seen, in different countries, India as well, some people, they say, okay, I want to start a business in a very, I would say, in a manner as if, since I have nothing to do, so I'll do this, or let me do this just for fun. So I think that determination is very important, because everything will happen based on what kind of energy you bring. So everything depends on that. We have seen a lot of people with good resources but not able to set up that business, a certain business, because that enthusiasm is not there. Unless you have the enthusiasm. If you have enthusiasm, believe me, you can bring funding, you can execute it, you can get things done. Because once you are hungry to do this and you have the drive, then you will make things happen. Because see, information is available. Everything, even how to do it, when to do it, all that information is available in the public domain. I'm saying no, it's not specific. You'll get all the information in public domain. There is nothing, no rocket science. The main thing is your own vision and how aggressive and how hungry you are to actually get it done. So I think from my side, these are some of the basic, I would say, steps and ideas, or not ideas, rather, I would say the basic concept in terms of how you go about it. So if you have any specific questions related to this topic, so please be comfortable and you can go ahead. And so Zoya, I would suggest that you can organize the Q&A part.
Sure, sir. Sir, there are some questions in the chat box.
Okay, sorry, I'm not able to read it. Just if you can, oh yes.
Okay,
If you
let me
can
read
just
out.
read, yeah,
Yeah,
so it will help me to prioritize also. Okay.
the question is asked by Saif Malik. The question is how we raise funds if product is ready and some users there, like it's written in bracket, health tech sector.
Which sector?
Health tech sector.
Health health
Which
sector or health?
health tech sector.
Oh, health tech sector. Okay. You are saying you have the product ready and you don't know how to sell it or market it, correct?
Sorry,
Hello?
sir.
You are saying the question is the product is ready in the health tech sector and you want to market it, how to go about it, correct?
Sir, he's asking how to raise funds if the product is ready.
How to raise funds? Okay, so first of all, in whichever region or area you are with that product or service, okay, is it a solution, or it is a product? Hello?
The product.
It's a product. Okay. So product, so that means you have the idea and the concept of the product is ready. So I believe you will have to go to the health sector, which means the hospitals, nursing homes, specialty divisions, and then get the input information about the need of that product in that sector. Okay, so get the market data of that sector from reliable agency. There are a lot of agencies in the medical line. You can ask for, let's say, look at the requirement in that sector, and then once you know how much is the need, then you can go about which markets need that product, and then you can actually approach those, whether it's hospitals or medical colleges or nursing homes or private clinics. So it depends. So the most important thing is you need to find out reliable data or information about that particular product, the need of that product in the medical sector. Does it answer your question or you need more?
I hope your question has been answered. If you have any further queries, please feel free to unmute yourself and ask directly.
Okay, next. Yes, Zoya, next one.
So there is a question by Sana Fatima. Vision is most important along with your idea. Branding is key. Be resilient. I think this is not the question. Are there any great books on business that you would like to suggest?
Look, I'll tell you. I got selected to IMC for executive management program when I was in Calcutta. I was setting up a business as a CEO. This is around 15 years ago. And I went and met them, and they had those traditional and conventional, management related books and topics and discussions. Even I visited a few universities in Europe, in Dubai. And what I found, and I also spoke to some of the gurus, you call it, or mentors from management side, what they say, and I've also experienced this, that management is very situational. uh, you need to understand the basics. Basics means what are the aspects that I need to understand in terms of when I will be given a management position, or let's say a higher position, what are the key things that I should be doing. So I can tell you the situation. There is today management nobody is talking about, it's the leadership now, because management is more about sustaining what you have, what the company has, and it's more about, as if you are working in a government organization, you are asked to do certain things, you just manage the show. But it's more about leadership today. If you want to be either an entrepreneur or somebody successful in the corporate life, you must focus more on leadership. And leadership, more on the style of leadership. What kind of leadership do I want to, let's say, adopt? So, very old example, some of the people are giving. So, let's say one extreme is you follow the leadership style of a head of state who wants to transform the state overnight, and he does things, that destroys people's, you can say, people's lives. And then after some years, the country is developed, and everybody is happy, but it is at the cost of many people's lives. The other person is doing it, you know without, let's say, sacrificing the life of people, and is moving, taking a good balance. So situational type of leadership is required in business as well. Same way, that you need to be aggressive, but you cannot sacrifice certain compliances or requirements of the business or the human part of it. So on the management side, coming back to your question, I would suggest you should go to some of the top university management schools, discussion charters, they are called. So these are in public domain. You can go to their website, including MIT, Harvard, or Oxford, Cambridge, or so India IIMs and all that. So you can go to those charters. You can join some of the groups through the, let's say, their domains, and there is no fee for that. You can join that, you can be part of that discussion. And there are certain soft copies of the books that you have. You can choose the topics, whether you finance, marketing, sales. So today management is not is become a very big topic. In order to operate in your respective area, you should choose a topic, go to those domains, and be part of those discussions. So otherwise, going to Adam Smith, going to Bailey's, there are so many other books. But today, most of the mentors, they suggest, okay, books are okay, but be part of the discussions in the from the management school or from executive MBA groups where experienced leaders are discussing specific problems. So what happens in executive MBA and other, the latest form of management studies that is happening, people are given a situation and then how you go about solving it. So today, management and leadership is about solving a problem or creating something new. Okay, so I would suggest that you join some of such groups, and if you can afford, go for 1 month or 2 weeks executive MBA program if you already have an MBA, or go for if you don't have an MBA, go for 3 or 6 months management program, whichever you can afford. It will, of course, entail some fees. But don't just look at books, because when you read a book, you learn about a concept, you will not be able to relate and interlink all the aspects of the business. So it might not give you a fair idea how to correlate it to my, let's say, place of work or to my business. I hope this answers your question.
So we have one more question from Saif Malik. Since I'm not able to understand the question clearly, may I request Saif to unmute himself and ask it directly?
Yes, please.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम सर।
Well,
सर मेरा नाम सैफ मलिक है, मैं अभी इंजीनियरिंग स्टूडेंट हूँ। सर हम लोग एक अभी स्टार्टअप कर रहे हैं जिसका नाम आईवन केयर है, जिस पर हम लोग टेली मेडिकल ऐप बनाए हम लोग, जस्ट लाइक अ प्रैक्टो, पर उससे ज़्यादा हम लोग फीचर दे रहे हैं। और साथ के साथ हम लोगों ने एक अभी एक डिवाइस डेवलप करा है जिसके अंदर हम लोग ECG, SpO2, टेम्परेचर एंड हार्ट रेट, ये 4 चीज़ हम लोग मॉनिटर करते। और ये डिवाइस सर काफी पोर्टेबल और स्मॉल साइज है, जिसको हम लोग वर्ल्ड वाइड कहीं भी कैरी कर सकते हैं। तो सर इसके लिए हम लोग पूरा डेवलप कर चुके हैं अपना सारी चीजें, बट हम लोग सर अब मार्केट में एंटर करना चाह रहे हैं। तो सर इसका क्या कोई गाइडेंस वगैरह आप दे दें मुझे, क्योंकि हम लोग अभी मतलब कोशिश करके कुछ यूजर अपने पास लेकर आए, बट सर इंडिया से तो हम लोग को अच्छा रिस्पॉन्स नहीं मिला डॉक्टर के थ्रू। बट अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह सर स्पेशली गल्फ, कुवैत एंड कतर, ओमान एंड सऊदी अरबिया, यहाँ से अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह काफी अच्छा रिस्पॉन्स मिला हम लोगों को। तो हमारे पास करीब 150 डॉक्टर्स हमारे पास प्लेटफॉर्म पर एडेड हैं।
वेरी गुड। तो आई थिंक आप सबसे पहले क्या करो, चूंकि ये मेडिकल डिवाइस है, इसको आप सबसे पहले वहां पे रिस्पेक्टिव कंट्री में रेगुलेटिंग बॉडी के साथ कोई सर्टिफिकेट या रजिस्ट्रेशन कराओ, समझे ना। तो क्या होगा कि once that accreditation is there, then you will basically, if the product is attractive, you can have a very good sale and market for that. उसके लिए फिर आप डॉक्टर से अगर जुड़े हुए हैं तो ठीक है, अगर नहीं भी जुड़े हुए हैं तो देन जिस कंट्री में आप हो वहां पे आप जाके उन लोगों से सबसे मिल सकते हो, डॉक्टर से भी मिल सकते हो। बट आपके प्रोडक्ट के लिए ज्यादा अच्छा होगा आप जो फार्मेसी की जो चेन्स हैं, है ना, इनसे आप जुड़ो, क्योंकि ये लोग जो हैं दे आल्सो सजेस्ट एंड एडवाइज अ लॉट ऑफ गैजेट्स एंड इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स टू देयर क्लाइंट्स। मतलब आप सिंपल सी चीज है कि कोई ब्लड ग्लूकोज चेक करना चाहता है या बीपी, तो कई बार ऐसा होता है कि हाँ यार चलो फार्मेसी से जाके ले लेते हैं, और कई बार कुछ लोग डॉक्टर से भी पूछते हैं। तो डॉक्टर्स का तो अक्सर ये होता है दे वांट पीपल टू कम टू देम, ओके। So
Yes, sir.
mostly they would want, hospitals and doctors clinics would want कि नहीं यार आपको प्रॉब्लम है मुझे कॉल कर लेना, मेरे पास आ जाना, because they know it will entail a fees for them, 200, 500, 1000 रुपए वो लेंगे। So they don't want people to be independent on this part. Okay, so
Yes, sir.
the people who do not have a conflict of interest will be the pharmacies. ठीक है, फार्मेसी वाला चाहेगा मैं प्रोडक्ट बेचूं, मेरे को मतलब नहीं है, क्योंकि उसको कोई फीस नहीं चाहिए, ठीक है ना, उसको चाहिए मेरे पास जो माल आया उसको बेचना है मुझे, ठीक है ना, उसको एक ही चीज चाहिए कि गवर्नमेंट बॉडी से रजिस्टर्ड और ऑथेंटिकेटेड हो, ठीक है ना,
जी
वो
सर।
अगर है तो आप फार्मेसीज को टारगेट कीजिए, डॉक्टर्स से एडवाइस लीजिए या उनको बताइए, बट very I would say doctors may or may not be very excited about it. Okay, क्योंकि
जी
एक तो यह है कि बड़ी कंपनीज उनको कुछ ना कुछ गिफ्ट्स और फेवर्स देते हैं. वेरी सिंपल, आई एम टेलिंग यू ओपनली. आई नो some of you would be from Medico's family, but this is a fact. It's not about uh, wrongdoings. It's about what practically happens in the market. So
Yes.
body companies would give a lot of gifts to the doctors and hospitals. तो वो वही रिकमेंड करेंगे, वो कहेंगे नहीं नहीं यार, छोटी मोटी कंपनी मत लो, तुम जाओ सिप्ला के पास या रैनबैक्सी या वो व्हाटएवर. आई एम जस्ट सेइंग, गिविंग एग्जांपल. तो जो छोटे एंटरप्रेन्योर्स हैं वो वहां मार खा जाते हैं. सो उसमें क्या है कि बेस्ट इज आप ये कहो भाई मेरे पास सर्टिफिकेट है, गवर्नमेंट ने ऑथराइज किया है, इट इज ट्राइड एंड टेस्टेड. तो गवर्नमेंट की एजेंसी जो कहे, जो टेस्ट कराने हैं, जो ऑथेंटिकेशन कराना है वो कराओ. आप किसी और के पास पहले मत जाओ. वो करा के आपके पास जब पेपर है, दैट प्रोडक्ट इज देयर, देन यू गो टू फार्मेसीज एंड ऑफ कोर्स इन्वॉल्व डॉक्टर्स ऑल्सो वेर एवर यू थिंक कि हाँ यार इट विल हेल्प. ठीक है ना.
सर इसी के लिए सर हम लोगों को फंडिंग वगैरह चाहिए था, तो सर मैं ये मालूम कर रहा था कि सर इसके लिए हम लोग बेस्ट सूटेबल कोई वीसीज एंजल इन्वेस्टर वगैरह हो सर, जो इस पर सपोर्ट करते, क्योंकि अभी तो हम लोग अर्ली स्टेज स्टार्टअप्स है, तो हम लोग मतलब अभी अच्छा उनको टर्म्स और रिटर्न ऑफ जो भी उनका है वो अच्छा भी दे पाएंगे. अभी तो हमारा बिल्कुल बूट स्ट्रैप है बिल्कुल.
नहीं तो ये प्रोडक्ट का आपका जो भी मतलब आइडिया है या प्रोडक्ट अगर आपने डेवलप कर लिया है, तो देन आप कुछ आई वुड से अगर आप जिस कंट्री में भी हैं और वहाँ पे आप वो लिस्ट भी निकलवा सकते हैं कि जो वहाँ पे सपोज
टाइम इन
मेडिकल,
अलीगढ़.
हाँ तो मेडिकल कंपनीज जो हैं, सपोज आप अलीगढ़ में हो, मेडिकल कंपनीज हैं या जो बहुत सारे कुछ कह लीजिए कि एंटरप्रेन्योर्स होते हैं जो सम आर नोन कि भाई हाँ ये पर्टिकुलर फैमिलीज हैं, दे आर नॉर्मली इन्वेस्टिंग इनटू डिफरेंट प्रोडक्ट्स या डिफरेंट कंपनीज में इन्वेस्टमेंट करते हैं, तो गो टू सम इन्वेस्टर्स. आप उसकी लिस्ट निकलवा सकते हो, ऐसा नहीं है. मतलब आप अलीगढ़ में भी हो तो भी वहां पे आपको इंडस्ट्रियलिस्ट की लिस्ट मिल जाएगी. आप इंडस्ट्रियलिस्ट के पास जाइए, आप उनसे कहिए अगर देखिए हमारे पास ये आइडिया है, ये ऐसे ऐसे हम करना चाहते हैं और ये हमारा प्रोसेस है, वी नो द प्रोडक्ट एंड वी विल बी एबल टू मेक इट टू द मार्केट. इसमें ये पूरा एक प्रोजेक्ट प्लान बनाइए. आप प्रोजेक्ट रिपोर्ट आपने बनाई है इसमें कि भाई
सर
ये
हम लोग बनाए.
प्रोडक्ट को बनाने में कितना खर्चा आएगा, इसके लिए क्या इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर चाहिए, इसको मार्केट
जी सर.
करने, तो ये एक प्रोजेक्ट रिपोर्ट बनाइए आप. वो प्रोजेक्ट रिपोर्ट अगर हो सके किसी एक्सपर्ट कंसल्टेंट को भी दिखा लीजिए, सो दैट ही नोज द स्ट्रक्चर इज राइट. ठीक है, वो
जी
स्ट्रक्चर सही है. एंड देन उसके बाद वो आप अपना सोल्यूशन, आप सोल्यूशन हैंड ओवर मत कीजिए उन्हें, आप एक्सप्लेन कीजिए. ठीक है. सो वो प्रोडक्ट आप बताइए और प्रोजेक्ट रिपोर्ट आप उनको बताइए, देखिए ये प्रोजेक्ट रिपोर्ट है. उस प्रोजेक्ट रिपोर्ट में आपके प्रोडक्ट के स्पेसिफिक्स ना हो, उसमें सिर्फ ये हो कि उसको बनाने के लिए और उसको मार्केट करने के लिए आपको क्या क्या स्पेंड करने हैं. ठीक है,
जी.
उसमें वो एक्सप्लेनेशन होना चाहिए बस. और लेकिन टेक्नोलॉजी पार्ट या जो आइडिया पार्ट है वो आपके पास होना चाहिए, विच यू विल एक्सप्लेन वर्बली. तो आपको ये एक छोटा सा प्रेजेंटेशन टाइप बनाना पड़ेगा एंड देन एक जो है वो प्रोजेक्ट रिपोर्ट बनानी होगी, वो लेके आप कुछ एक्सक्लूसिव एंटरप्रेन्योर्स इन्वेस्टर्स के पास जाइए. और गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया के भी बहुत सारे फंड्स हैं और कहना चाहिए सपोर्ट्स हैं, क्योंकि इंडिया में मैन्युफैक्चरिंग के लिए बहुत सारी स्कीम्स हैं और बहुत 99% लोगों को पता भी नहीं चलता है। मैं भी थोड़ा सा इवेल्युएट किए हैं अभी 1 साल में, so I also come to know. Or there are also consultants in the space who actually follow the whole process right from your, आप कंपनी सेटअप चाहे अपने किसी सीए से करा लेते हैं या किसी से, लेकिन उसके बाद जो भी स्टेप्स हैं इन गेटिंग द फंडिंग और इन गेटिंग द लेट्स से जो भी गवर्नमेंट के सपोर्ट के प्रोजेक्ट्स हैं, उसमें कुछ लिमिट्स होती हैं, कुछ कैटेगरीज होती हैं, बट देर आर फंड्स अवेलेबल फ्रॉम द गवर्नमेंट साइड एज वेल। तो वो कंसल्टेंट्स, आप उनकी फीस होती है, नॉमिनल फीस होती है फॉर वर्किंग, एंड देन वंस द फंडिंग इज डन तो उसमें जरूर उनका फीस होती है कि भाई सपोज 1% ले लेंगे आपको, सपोज आपको 1 करोड़ की फंडिंग हो गई तो 1% या 2% वट एवर, तो उनका होता है। तो उस बेसिस पे आप उनको, आई थिंक दोज आर द 2 डायरेक्शंस दैट आई कैन टेल यू।
Sure, sir, inshallah, I will do.
ठीक है ना?
Jazakallah. Yeah, Jazakallah, sir.
ओके।
Next question is asked by Mohammad Shakil. What kind of business would you recommend starting today, especially for Gen Zs, that has strong potential for success in the future?
ये बहुत ही डिफिकल्ट सवाल है टू बी ऑनेस्ट, और क्योंकि देखो हम आपको बताएं कि हमने लाइफ को देखा है चेंज होते हुए, दौर को चेंज होते देखा है, राइट फ्रॉम I left my city in 1976. I'm 66 born, I'm just telling. तो 10 साल की एज में हम गए अपने टाउन से बड़े सिटी में, एक अलग दुनिया देखी। तो उसके बाद अलीगढ़ आए, उसके बाद वहां से चंडीगढ़, इधर उधर। लेकिन आज जो मैंने देखा पिछले कुछ सालों में, द स्पीड ऑफ चेंज इज मच फास्ट। ठीक है ना? द प्रोडक्ट और सर्विस इज चेंजिंग वेरी वेरी फास्ट। सो the things that will never change till human life, उसमें 2-3 चीजें। एक, एनीथिंग दैट यू डू इन द फूड सेक्टर, ओके, दिस विल नेवर चेंज। मतलब फूड सेक्टर मींस you are adding value to the agricultural produce, that is number 1। वो आप कितना इफेक्टिवली अपने लोकल प्रोड्यूस को वैल्यू ऐड करके मार्केट कर सकते हैं, ये कभी जिंदगी में चेंज नहीं होगा। इसके फॉर्म्स एंड शेप्स चेंज होंगे बट इट विल नेवर चेंज रिलेटेड टू फूड। और फार्मा में भी बहुत सारी चीजें हैं जो कह लीजिए कि देयर विल बी एवेन्यूज टू ग्रो फर्दर। सो दोज आर, फूड एंड फार्मा इज वन एरिया। टेक्नोलॉजी में बहुत तेजी से चेंज आ रहा है। अभी देखिए, हमने जब पहला मोबाइल फोन लिया था तो कितने पैसे का था और आज कितने पैसे का। आई नो, आई रिमेम्बर होल्डिंग अ नोकिया और वट एवर फोन, वेरी हैवी एंड वेरी कॉस्टली, और वो आज मतलब इट हैज नो वैल्यू एट ऑल। एवरीबडी इज होल्डिंग अ मोबाइल फोन। तो टेक्नोलॉजी, अभी एआई का बहुत चल रहा है, बट ऑन द हाइंड साइड the AI bubble is destined to let's say explode very soon। कुछ चीजें आपने देखी होंगी अभी, चैट जीपीटी वर्सेस चाइना ने कुछ कर दिया, डीप सीक, और जो ईस्ट एशिया है, साउथ कोरिया, चाइना, ताइवान, टेक्नोलॉजी साइड में बहुत एडवांस हो चुके हैं। आई वाज देयर जस्ट 2 weeks बिफोर। तो मैं ट्रैवल करता रहता हूँ काम के सिलसिले में, एंड आई सी दैट चाइना में जो इलेक्ट्रिक कार्स की गिनती है बहुत ज़्यादा है, दुनिया भर में जितनी है उसके आसपास ही है। और टेस्ला दुनिया में लॉन्च हुई है, लेकिन BYD ने जिस स्पीड से उसको बराबरी ऑलमोस्ट कर ली है अभी, एंड वेरी सून यू विल सी चाइनीज विल बी द लीडर्स इन दैट सेक्टर। बहुत सारी चीज़ों में बहुत कुछ हो रहा है एंड इट इज़ हैपनिंग वेरी फास्ट। तो टेक्नोलॉजी साइड में आई वुड से एआई को ब्लाइंडली फॉलो करना ठीक नहीं है। you have to see what is the value it brings to a particular I would say solution. तो जैसे अब एक एग्जांपल मैं आपको देता हूँ, the latest research this guy Elon Musk is doing, और ये आगे चल के बहुत बड़ी प्रॉब्लम होने वाली है, कि he is developing a chip for human brain that will convert a human into a robot. So which means and the pretext is कि भाई हम इंसान को और efficient बनाएंगे. This is the slogan, which means what they're saying, something that a human being has no experience, he doesn't know, but through that chip he will be able to do it, which also means a human being will be able to do things which he doesn't want to do and he doesn't know how to do. So अभी तक रोबोट को ह्यूमन के काम करने के लिए काम चल रहा था अब तक, अब ह्यूमन को रोबोट की तरह यूज करने के चल रहा है. So technology is going into a dangerous direction as well as very fast. So once that happens, so you can imagine कि जितने भी गैजेट्स हैं वो फेल हो जाएंगे. वेरी सिंपल. अगर जैसे कुछ साल पहले उसने माइक्रोसॉफ्ट के फाउंडर ने कहा था कि ये कंप्यूटर खत्म हो जाएगा, सब कुछ हाथ में आ जाएगा, तो मोबाइल में यू आर एबल टू डू एवरीथिंग. सो इफ देयर इज अ चिप ऑन द ह्यूमन ब्रेन, तो ये बताइए फिर किसी भी चीज की क्या जरूरत है. चिप के जरिए सभी कुछ होगा. जो भी टेक्नोलॉजी से आप आज कर रहे हैं, एवरीथिंग, उसके ऊपर हर चीज हुक हो सकती है. सो टेक्नोलॉजी में बी केयरफुल व्हाट यू वांट टू डू. द बेस्ट इज trying to solve some of the problem. I think ये जो आइडिया है हेल्थ से रिलेटेड, ये भी अच्छा है. और anything that is very basic, try to go to the basics. अभी जैसे आपने देखा होगा पिछले कुछ सालों में स्टॉक मार्केट्स, इन्वेस्टमेंट्स, सारे आइडियाज have gone wrong in the last 2 years. Whatever is the reason, and now everybody who has experience over a few decades in the investment sector, they say there are only two things that are safe investments. One is skill for humans, skill and education. मतलब जो हुनर ह्यूमन बीइंग के पास है और जो एजुकेशन है वो कोई छीन नहीं सकता. दूसरी चीज लैंड. इफ यू हैव सम सरप्लस मनी, इन्वेस्ट इन लैंड. ये दो चीजें आर द मोस्ट प्रिमिटिव and they will survive for the longest, क्योंकि ह्यूमन सिविलाइजेशन इन दो चीजों पे ही बेस्ड है. अगर आप देखेंगे शुरू से ह्यूमंस ने जो लर्न किया, सबसे पहले खाने का तलाश, खाने को पैदा करना, whether it's farming or hunting or whatever, and then उसके बाद बाकी सब चीजें इररेलेवेंट हो गई. अब आप अगर ह्यूमन सिविलाइजेशन को समझें, 3-4 चीजें वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. आई ऑलवेज टॉक टू पीपल वेरेवर आई एम डिस्कसिंग, एंड वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट कि जितने भी आज लोग जिंदा हैं, ये उन सिविलाइजेशन से आए हैं. द सिविलाइजेशंस एंड द कम्युनिटीज एंड द ट्राइब्स who could feed themselves, who could defend themselves, and who could cure themselves. क्योंकि आपने सुना होगा, मतलब फ्रॉम आवर होली स्क्रिप्चर्स और हिस्ट्री से, कि भाई कितने भी एरिया थे, बस्तियां पलट गईं, बहुत सी जगह कहद आ गए, बहुत सी जगह फेमिन आ गया, खत्म हो गई पूरी कौम. बहुत सी जगह बीमारी आई, कोई प्लेग आया, खत्म हो गई. तो जो बचे हैं वो लोग हैं, दे हैव, जिनके फोरफादर्स ने, दे न्यू हाउ टू ग्रो or hunt food, and then they knew how to defend themselves from whether natural calamities or wild animals, या जो भी surroundings है, and then who could cure themselves from diseases. तो ये I always talk on very high level forums about it, कि ये saturation पहुंच रहा है अभी टेक्नोलॉजी का, and it will be the end when the human chip will be ready. उसके बाद टेक्नोलॉजी में कोई एवेन्यू बचेगा नहीं. there will be nothing remaining. उसके बाद कोई जरूरत ही नहीं किसी टेक्नोलॉजी की किसी गैजेट की. So just be careful, and it can happen faster than what we think. अभी suppose जो लोग हैं, एलन मस्क है या जो भी हैं, वो लगे हुए हैं, and it will happen very fast, I tell you. So they're already conducting experiments. उसके बाद ये होगा कि भाई मेरे ये रिमोट कंट्रोल, अभी आप देख रहे हैं एयर कंडीशनर का रिमोट कंट्रोल, उसका भी रिप्लेसमेंट आ रहा है. So with your voice or your hand wave or hand, let's say wave, you can switch on and off. तो ये चीजें अभी आने वाली हैं. तो टेक्नोलॉजी में आप ये देखो, if the application is something that is sustainable despite the highest level of technology developments that come up, अगर वो रहेगा तो that's good. I remember I was sick for few days, and one doctor in Singapore, they put something on my armpit, and on my mobile I was getting all the readings. That was for 2 weeks. I was sick for because of some travels and something. So मतलब कुछ जरूरत ही नहीं थी किसी चीज की. एवरीथिंग आई वाज गेटिंग ऑन माय मोबाइल. उन्होंने उसको कनेक्ट कर दिया, एंड देन जस्ट आई वुड सेंड देम अ स्क्रीनशॉट, और इवन कई बार वो कनेक्ट ही कर लेते हैं. सो मेरा रिस्पॉन्स टू द काइंड ऑफ बिजनेस यू वांट टू डू, go to the basics. My advice, you will never fail. Food sector में जो companies हैं, whether it's grains, it's agriculture or whatever, ये companies कभी, I mean, they can fail because of poor execution, but the market is huge. I tell you, हम लोग global market study करते हैं, market research करवाते हैं, बहुत सारे data हमारे पास आता है. उसमें हमने तो यही कंक्लूड किया, इफ यू आर इन फूड सेक्टर डूइंग समथिंग दैट इज सस्टेनेबल, जो प्रोडक्ट्स आप कर रहे हो, दैट इज एरिया विच विल नेवर एवर गो, एटलीस्ट इन आवर लाइफ टाइम, क्योंकि देयर इज नो रिप्लेसमेंट ऑफ फूड. एंड उसमें जितना आप नेचुरल रहेंगे उतना ज्यादा आपके प्रोडक्ट की डिमांड रहेगी. एंड फार्मा इज वन एरिया बिकॉज lots of diseases, lots of lifestyle issues, or lots of new discoveries, inventions. Today, I mean, every day we get to know a lot of things. So I study a lot, research papers and all. तो कुछ ना कुछ नया होता रहता है. And my colleagues sitting in US, Europe, in universities, some of them are part of some of the Nobel laureate groups. So they send me some content which surprises me, that क्या क्या तेजी से हो रहा है. और on an average every month you have one disease that is discovered, and वो public domain में इतना आती भी नहीं है. डॉक्टर्स को भी बहुत देर से पता चलता है. Today I was listening to one discussion, and all the doctors may not be knowing the name of that disease. मैं भी pronounce नहीं कर पाऊंगा. और doctors were prescribing something else for that ailment, but it comes out as a different one, and it is related to our origin, evolution and civilization. बहुत चीजें हो रही है. मतलब it is mind boggling to know all that. But in a nutshell, let's say, go to the basics, look at sustainable businesses के जिस प्रोडक्ट या सर्विस में लॉन्ग लाइफ है. सर्विसेज भी धीरे धीरे कम होंगी. सर्विसेज आर ओनली मेंट फॉर बिग सिटीज, एंड ये धीरे धीरे कम होंगी. अभी तो रिक्वायरमेंट है इसकी, बट देयर इज अ टाइम स्पैन. और सर्विसेज कॉमन भी इतनी हो जाएंगी कि इट विल, लेट्स से फॉर अ शॉर्ट टाइम इट इज गुड, बट इट विल नॉट सस्टेन फॉर अ लॉन्ग टाइम. Products that are related to human life will always be, let's say, at the top priority. So सारे global decisions food security को लेके होते हैं सबसे पहले, और बाकी सब चीजें बाद में होती हैं. तो I would suggest, look at your area, your city, your region, your state, your country, or even if you can cross over कि भाई क्या चीज मैं बना के या प्रोड्यूस करके या जिस भी तरह से उसको मार्केट कर सकता हूँ या ट्रेडिंग कर सकता हूँ या कन्वर्ट कर सकता हूँ. तो ये सब चीजें आई मीन, और उसके लिए गवर्नमेंट फंडिंग है. इसमें एग्रीकल्चर से रिलेटेड बहुत गवर्नमेंट फंडिंग है, फार्मा में भी है. जो एसेंशियल चीजें होती हैं लाइफ की, उसके लिए कोई भी गवर्नमेंट का कमिटमेंट होता है, बिकॉज दे डोंट वांट अ प्रॉब्लम इन द एसेंशियल एरियाज. तो उसमें गवर्नमेंट में बिहेव डिफरेंटली इन द पॉलिटिकल अरीना, वो अलग है. बट when it comes to planning, the biggest emphasis is given to food security and life expectancy, we call it. So ये दो चीजें सबसे ज्यादा अच्छी हैं एंड नॉट सो डिफिकल्ट टू डू, बिकॉज इंडिया में ज्यादातर एग्रीकल्चर एंड फूड का इतना डिफिकल्टी नहीं है, एंड अ लॉट ऑफ इट gets transported from one city to the other, one state to the other, one and India to outside. मैं आपको बताऊं, अभी दुबई में आप जाओ, आप आम का सीजन है तो पता चला उसका प्राइस देख लो आप, बहुत सारी चीजें. सो आई एम सेइंग फोकस ऑन एसेंशियल्स एंड सस्टेनेबल बिजनेसेस. बाकी बहुत सारी चीजें इंटरनेट पे कंफ्यूज करती हैं. पब्लिक डोमेन में बहुत सारी चीजें आती हैं, एआई के नाम पे बहुत बेवकूफ बनाया जाता है. इंडस्ट्रियल ऑटोमेशन को एआई से लिंक कर देते हैं. इंडस्ट्रियल ऑटोमेशन इज देयर सिंस टेंस ऑफ इयर्स, मोर देन 100 इयर्स. उसको लोग एआई बोल रहे हैं. सो इट्स द यू कैन से पब्लिक डोमेन में misinformation is to a very, very large extent. Whenever you want to do something, go to subject matter experts or search, find out the right source of the information. This is very important. कोई भी आप काम करना चाहते हो, इवन जो आपकी हॉबीज भी हैं, इवन चाहे आप गेम्स में हो, चाहे आप किसी भी फील्ड में, go to the right source. Don't look at what is visible by just typing something. No, just go to the right source कि वो डेटा कहाँ से मिलेगा. बहुत ये बहुत important है. Finding the right source from this whole, this world and universe of internet. Okay. Yeah, Zoya, some other questions we can quickly
No,
take
sir.
up.
No, sir. No, sir. Now we
अच्छा,
can conclude the session.
okay.
So, as all the questions have been addressed, and if there are no more queries from the participants, we'll now conclude the session with a vote of thanks. Thank you so much, sir, for taking out your valuable time and delivering such an enriching masterclass level session today. Your insights on building and scaling a business have been truly inspiring for all of us. On behalf of the Aligarh Renaissance, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to you, sir, and to all our participants for joining us this evening. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful evening ahead.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye. Khuda Hafiz, all of you.